To my video on reflection and translation compositions. So before we get into what a composition is, let's review the terms reflection and translation. So remember, a reflection is a transformation in which an image is formed by reflecting or flipping the pre-image over a line called the line of reflection. Think of reflect, FL, are the beginning letters of the word flip. So that's how we can remember that reflection is a flip. Now, all corresponding points in the image and pre-image are equidistant from the line of reflection, and that's the letter I there. Meaning they're the same distance from the line of reflection. For example, if A is 5 places away from the x-axis, and we're flipping over the x, then A prime will also be 5 places from the x-axis. Okay, a translation is a transformation in which an image is formed by moving every point on the pre-image the same distance in the same direction. It is sometimes called a slide. Think of translate has the word letters SL in it, and those are the beginning letters of the word slide. Okay, and remember, we have to remember horizontal and vertical. So let's remember horizontal is side to side. Oops. And remember, left is negative, right is positive. And then let's do a V for vertical. Vertical is up or down. Remember, up is positive and down is negative. Okay, so now that we've reviewed those terms, now we're going to talk about what a composition is. So a composition of transformations is a combination of 2 or more transformations, each performed on the previous image. So in our cases, we are going to do 2 transformations. We will not do more than 2. Okay? So let's look at example 1. And it's going to be important that we use our strategies from before. So when we reflect, we can highlight the axis that we're reflecting over to help us. Okay. So example number 1 says reflect. Underline the word reflect. EFG across the y-axis and label the image E prime, F prime, G prime. Then we are going to translate E prime, F prime, G prime, -3 units horizontally and -5 units vertically. And we're going to label the new image E double prime, F double prime, G double prime, and list the new coordinates of the E double prime, F double prime, G double prime. Okay, so the first thing it tells me to do is reflect across the y-axis. So I'm going to write, and I would encourage you to write this down every time you do a composition, which means 2 or more transformations. So we're going to do y-axis first, because it's a reflect across the y. And I'm going to draw an arrow. And we're going to translate -3 horizontal. So what does -3 horizontal mean? Good, left 3, and then down 5, because -5 vertical means down 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is reflect across the y-axis. And when I do that, I'm going to call it E prime, F prime, G prime. So remember our strategy, and if you have a highlighter, you can highlight this. We're going to trace the y-axis, so we know what line we're reflecting over. And each letter is going to be equidistant from the line. So let's start with E, 1, 2. So we're going to go 1, 2, and call this E prime. Now we're going to start G, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to call this G prime. And now we're going to go over to F and go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to call this F prime. It is very important that every translation you do, you put the primes in. So the first transformation is always one single prime, and then the second one will always be the double prime. So now take your ruler and connect the points. And now we're not done yet. That's our first transformation. We reflected across the y-axis. Now we have to take that shape and move each point left 3 and down 5. And then after we do that, we're going to record each one over here. So let's start with E, since that's the first letter listed. We're going to go left 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to call that E double prime. And now let's look at the coordinates. Remember X and Y, so -1, -4. Okay, let's look at F. So we're going to move F prime left 3, down 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to call that F double prime. And we're going to write the coordinates as 1, -1. And now we're going to start at G, and we're going to go left 3, down 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to call that G double prime. Now we're going to take our ruler and we're going to connect those points. And now we've done a composition. So we reflected over the Y, we flipped it over the Y, and then we slid it or moved it left 3 and down 5. So notice we went from the original to E prime, F prime, G prime. Then we moved that shape to get E double prime, F double prime, and G double prime. So we're always doing the transformation on the previous shape that we made. Okay. Oh, and we forgot to write our G prime as, or G double prime as 1, -4. So write 1, -4. Okay, now we're ready to move on to our next one. So remember, write down what you're doing, okay? And then make sure you're labeling each shape after you do the transformation. So number 2, translate TVW horizontally 5 units and 3 units vertically, and label the image T prime, U prime, V prime, W prime. Then reflect T prime, U prime, V prime, W prime over the x-axis. Label the new image T double, U double, V double, W double, and list the new coordinates. So let's underline what we're doing here. We're translating. This time we're translating first, so horizontally 5 and 3 units vertically. So let's write that down. Horizontal 5 units would be right 5, and 3 units vertically would be up 3 because it's positive. And then we're going to label that T prime, U prime, V prime, W prime. Now we're going to reflect that shape. After we go right 5, up 3, we're going to reflect that over the x-axis. So let's draw an arrow for our second transformation, and we're going to do it over the x-axis. And then we're going to label that T double, U double, V double, W double, and we're going to list the coordinates. Okay, so it says right 5 up 3, so we're going to start with T and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to call that T prime because this is our first transformation. Okay, now let's go with U, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 3, 1, 2, 3. And notice they're even with each other because I'm just moving, so it's going to be the exact same shape and size. All right, let's do V, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to call that V prime. And then W, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Now, if I ever translate and it's not the same shape and same size, then I've made a mistake. It should be the exact same shape and size. So take your ruler. Let's connect the points. Okay, so that's our first transformation. Now we have to take that and reflect it over the x-axis. So remember, each of these points is going to be equal distance from the x. So let's highlight the x so we know which one we're going over. So this is the x-axis. So each point is going to be an equal distance from here. So let's start with T because that's the first one we have to record. So notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 till I get to the line, and then go 6 in the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to call that T double prime. And notice the coordinates start with x, -1, -6. Okay, U. Start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we just went 6 here, so it's going to be right across from the T. So this is U double prime. And U double prime is now 3, -6. And now let's look at V. V is 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's V double prime. So it's x then y, 3, -4. And then W, we know where W is going to end up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because we're still going to make a rectangle here. And the new W prime is -1, -4. Now take your ruler and connect the points. And it looks the exact same shape and size, but it was flipped over. Now look, T and U are now upside down because it was flipped. So we translated it right 5 up 3, then we reflected over the x-axis. Okay, let's look at one more example. And notice for every example we're doing, we are labeling our new primes. Okay, so the first one is always a single prime. The second one is always a double prime. So number 3 says reflect ABC across the x-axis. Label the image A prime, B prime, C prime. So we're going to write x axis. So that's our first transformation. Then draw your arrow. Then translate A prime, B prime, C prime 3 units horizontally and -2 units vertically. So 3 units horizontally is going to be right 3 because it's +3. And then we'll do a little slash here. -2 units vertically, we're going to go down, down 2. And then we're going to label the new image A double, B double, C double, and list the new coordinates. So we first have to reflect over the x, then we're going to translate. So let's trace the x. That's the first thing we're doing here. Okay, and notice we're going to reflect A. Well, how far is A away? A is on the line, so it's going to stay on the line. So let's put a dot here, and this is going to be A prime. Now, B prime, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to go down 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to call this B prime. Okay, now this one is going to be 6 away as well because B was, and they're starting in the same spot. So this is 6 down, and then C is 6 down. Now connect the points using your ruler. Okay, and notice we reflected it, so it flipped. B, C were on top, now they're on the bottom. Okay, now we got to do our last translation, so we're going to move each of those points right 3 and down 2. We're going to start with A, because that's the first letter I have to record. So we're going to go right 3, so 1, 2, 3. Then it says go down 2, 1, 2. So we're going to call this A double prime. And my new A double prime is -3, -2. Okay, now find B. So we're going to translate B prime. 3 units right and 2 down. So 1, 2, 3. And then down 2, 1, 2. And we're going to call this B double prime. And that's -3, -8. X, then Y. And then lastly, C, we're going to move it 3 right, 1, 2, 3, and down 2, 1, 2. Call that C double prime, and the coordinates are -1, -8. Okay, take your ruler and connect the points. And we have our brand new shape. So notice it reflected and then we slid it. So be sure when you do these on your own, please label the first image as A prime, B prime, C. Well, just label it with the prime, okay? And then your second image, you're taking that first one, your primes, and you're moving it. So make sure you do them in order. Whatever one comes first is your A prime, B prime, C prime, and then whatever one comes second is your A double, B double, C double. And make sure you're always doing your transformation on the previous one that you made. So we went from this one to this one to this one. Okay, that concludes our notes on reflection and transformation and translation compositions. I hope you have a great day.